Long ago in China, there was a man named Y who was happily married. After 5 years of marriage, his wife fell seriously ill, and Y took care of her diligently. During her illness, his wife held Y's hand tightly and asked him not to be with anyone else. She warned that if she passed away, she would return as a ghost to haunt and harm Y. After his wife's passing, strange events occurred during the first 3 months. However, eventually, Y fell in love with another woman and decided to get engaged to her. One night, in the middle of the night, it became apparent that his deceased wife's ghost was coming to haunt Y, threatening to harm him if he did not uphold his promise. Y was puzzled by the fact that his late wife, who was not particularly intelligent when alive and was not a leader like Y, suddenly became extremely clever and knew everything. She could accurately track his actions, words, and even his interactions with others. No matter what Y did or thought, she knew it all, which made him believe that what he was experiencing was indeed a ghost. Because the ghost had a physical presence and could interact with him, that night and subsequent nights, Y couldn't eat or sleep. His body became emaciated and sorrowful. Even though there were many friends who came to sleep with him in the middle of the night, Y still saw his ghostly wife. Y decided to seek help from a monk named Rui. He sat down with Rui and explained his situation calmly, but Y couldn't describe what he saw because he believed it was unquestionably a ghost, as it had a distinct personality and could interact with him. Rui decided to see it for himself before jumping to conclusions, stating that it must be a ghost for sure because she knew everything. Regardless of what Y did, said, or thought, the ghost knew it all. He encouraged Y to take pride in his ghostly wife's abilities, as she was exceptionally clever, and he wanted to test her abilities further. He asked Y to bring a handful of peanuts and have the ghost guess how many peanuts were in his hand. If the ghost guessed correctly, Y would agree to break off his engagement. That night, Y's ghostly wife appeared as usual. Y praised her for her abilities and asked if she could play a guessing game with a bet. Y brought out a handful of peanuts and asked her to guess how many there were. Afterward, his ghostly wife disappeared, leaving Y to discover the truth. Listening to the story's conclusion, some people may not understand why the ghost disappeared. The ghost in this story was born from Y's negative emotions, and he created the image of his wife, which was essentially his own thoughts and feelings. Common questions that Y knew the answers to would receive definite responses. But when asked about the number of peanuts, which Y had not counted, his ghostly wife couldn't answer. This made Y realize that the ghostly wife was a creation of his own thoughts. This story teaches us that we should always examine our own emotions and feelings towards past events to avoid carrying lifelong misery. For instance, during my childhood, I grew up in a financially challenged family. My parents taught me to be frugal, but as I grew older and became more financially stable, I still hesitated to buy expensive things because I had a lingering feeling of guilt in my heart. Guilt is weird because the more you run, the more you live.
Thank you for watching. May you have peace and prosperity, and may all your wishes come true.